So let me just be real with you guys. Like, I want to be able to figure this show out every week. I want to be able to figure the entire season out. Like, I want to be that person. But come on, some of the reveals in this week's episode, how could anyone figure them out? The show is that smart. The show is smarter than me. Like, okay, Shonda Rhimes, you're smarter than me. I'm going to give that to you. Okay, so we start out this episode with our flash forward, and this was pretty intense because Annalise is like in the hospital now. It doesn't look like she's going to make it. Come on, we all know she's going to make it. Frank is there trying to basically win an Emmy with his performance because he's like, oh my God, don't let her die, don't let her die. And the whole time he was doing all this, I was like, this is a little dramatic. I mean, I've never really seen Frank act like that. This is a little over the top for his character. Now, don't get me wrong, it was believable in that scene, but we all know Frank and we're like, no, this is just too much. So as soon as he walked out of the hospital, you see him drop his whole panic looking face and he comes into like this somber look, and then you realize, oh my gosh, it was fake. He was totally acting. But the biggest shocker was when he got in his car and you see Catherine's body in the back seat, and I'm like, oh my God, she's dead. Literally, I gasped. I was like, oh my God. That was shocking. Didn't see that coming, but it wasn't exactly as it appeared. I don't really know what it is, but we'll get to that at the very end of this video. So, Laurel is not trusting Frank 100% at the start of this episode, which that's very smart of you, Laurel, because we know that Frank is shady AF, you know. But anyway, he gets into the shower and she's like trying to snoop through his phone, but Frank is smarter than that. He has a passcode on it. Like, come on. Any suspicious guy has a passcode on his phone. Am I right? Am I right? Anyway, then she's like going through his drawers and stuff, but she doesn't find anything, and he probably knows she's doing that anyway. So she's like, okay, yeah, I think he's probably innocent. Come on, I know you're smarter than that, girl. So, Annalise is just lying and lying and lying and lying and lying in this episode. Well, that's what she pretty much does with her entire life. So she lies to Bonnie in the beginning of this episode, and she's like, you have made Asher change his mind, and he's not going to testify now. It's because he loves you. Of course, she's lying because she is the one who changed his mind with that video of her being, you know, basically her dad raping or whatever he did to her. So our side story this week is kind of different because we never get to the courtroom with this one. And this one is involving a transgendered friend of Annalise's who calls her in a panic, saying that she's killed her husband out of self-defense because he was attacking her. But then we later find out that it wasn't really self-defense this time, and she kind of staged the scene and everything, and I think the detectives figured that out as well. But the problem was he had been very abusive for a long time, and she just never reported it. So it wasn't like this man was totally innocent, you know? So it was a situation where she never stood up for herself until this point, and she ended up killing him. So Annalise is going to have to see if she can get those charges dropped against this woman. So Nate is very distraught, and we're not really sure why, but Wes is trying to contact him, and he tells Wes, like, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. I am not going to conspire against Annalise anymore. Just leave me alone. So it turns out that Caleb and Catherine, who, I mean, okay, I don't know. They're probably going to end up being innocent, maybe. But how shady are these two? Like, I've never really trusted them. I just get this weird vibe from them in every single episode. There's something I just don't like about either one of them. They've been recording, like, the Keating Five when they come to their house and have their meetings. So Catherine's been recording it on her iPad, and they realize it, and she realizes that they realize it. But she's like, you know, you guys didn't trust us, so I want to see what our lawyers are saying behind our backs. And they weren't saying very good things, so whoops. So we find out why Nate was so distraught. It's because his wife is dead, and he actually provided her with those pills that she wanted Annalise to give her to help her with an assisted suicide, and he's really upset, understandably. And the lies keep coming in this episode because Laurel and Wes, I mean, Wes is freaking out. He's like, I know Frank killed Rebecca, and Annalise killed Rebecca, or they know what happened, but she's dead. So Laurel's like, let's just go to Frank. Let's ask him because I'm tired of the secrets. So Laurel and Wes go to Frank, and of course Frank, he's so smart. Come on, he has an answer already. He's like, yeah, the money that was in that storage locker, it was for Rebecca. It was hush money, so she wouldn't tell on us. So, you know, they totally buy that, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Frank and Annalise are like the shadiest people in this show, in my opinion. What do you think? Post down below. And thumbs up if you think that Frank is just shady, shady, shady. I mean, there is no telling what we don't know about him. We probably don't want to know what he has done in the past. I'm sure it's not good. So, Asher tells Annalise he's worried that his dad may try to expose her, and she's got to do something about this, and he's not going to like what ends up happening, but what she does to help her with our side story with the transgendered woman murdering her husband is she gets those charges dropped against that woman because she presents all this evidence against Asher's dad to the police, basically, so that, you know, that's kind of a deal that she made. I don't know if it was with the police or what. Maybe it was with the prosecution. No, I think it was with the police, like with detectives and stuff, definitely. So now they're going to try to take down Asher's dad, which, I don't know. She's, you know, she's always doing bad things, and I think it's all going to come crashing down on her eventually. I mean, I really do. So, wow, there was a big development in this episode. We finally know the identity of the killer of the parents of Caleb and Catherine, and I was hoping I could figure this out, and I think a lot of you guys were too, but there's no way any of us could because this person's never been introduced to us before this episode. So it ends up being a cousin that they didn't even know that they had. The aunt who was murdered, it's her son, and apparently he killed his aunt and he killed their parents because he's hoping to get all the inheritance money. Interesting. I was hoping we could figure it out. I was hoping it was someone in the cast already, but no. So let's just talk about the intense, I mean, we're talking super intense scene between Nate and Annalise. I stand by, and I thought we were going to get a big reveal here, but I stand by the fact that she is his mom, his biological mom, because why is she so obsessed with him? Why does she freaking care? She doesn't care about anyone else that way. But they had this big knockdown drag out, and he's like, you know, I know you're lying to me. Tell me, I know that you know Rebecca's dead. She lies again, saying that they've been doing everything to try to find her, but she's not dead. Nobody killed her. Oh my God, you're such a terrible person. Thumbs up if you think she's a terrible person because, come on, she is. So anyway, I mean, come on, guys. Like, this was so intense. Like, I can't deal. But actually, before that scene, there was an uber intense scene with Nate and Annalise. I mean, so many of the people in this cast, like, they deserve an Emmy. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, they do. Because, you know, he's just like fed up with her, and he's like, you know, I love my wife and I wanted to do the best thing for her and to sit there with her and help her die because that's what she wanted. He's like, no one's ever gonna love you like that. But come on, thumbs up if you think secretly he really still has feelings for Annalise, because I think that they may end up together in the future. Like, I don't care what he says, he still has feelings for her. But he was crying and she was crying, and it was an Emmy moment, okay? So, we need to say something else about this Wes confrontation, though, because Annalise kind of exposes that she knows that Wes's mom committed suicide when he was 12. She probably knows all this because she's his real mom, and somehow she gets him to believe that Rebecca is alive and ran away, which is just to the core terrible. Just absolutely terrible. So Frank tries to distract Laurel and tries to make her trust him by taking her to meet his family for dinner, and that works. Oh my gosh. And Asher's dad finds out that he is pretty much going to go to jail, and he tells Asher, like, see ya, have a nice life. Oh my God, what a terrible dad. And he totally then won the Worst Dad of the Year award. Yes. Okay, so Sinclair drops a bombshell on Bonnie, but we need to be careful here before we jump to conclusions. But she finally tells us what is up with Asher and what crime was he hiding from. This girl, Tiffany, was gang raped. So Asher is involved in that somehow. Now immediately you want to jump to the fact like, oh my God, Asher gang raped this girl. Perhaps not. Perhaps he just knew about it, covered it up, lied about it, was there, lied for friends. I don't know. I don't see Asher as a gang rapist. Maybe he is. Do you see him as that? But I think there's more to that. I think we shouldn't jump to those conclusions there. So the end of this episode starts getting really confusing, and that's putting it mildly, because it's jumping all around, all over the place. First we start off with Ollie telling Connor that, oh my God, he's figured out the identity of the cousin who killed everyone, the parents and the aunt, and he's got a picture of him and everything. Now that's weird enough, and it really wasn't that weird because we know he's like an expert hacker, but then we see the guy, the cousin, and he has a camera somehow installed, I guess, on Ollie's computer, and he is watching them look up his information. I'm getting chills just talking about this because I cannot figure this out. I need you guys to fill in the pieces for me here, fill in the missing pieces. How did he get a camera? Or is it some kind of technology where you can, maybe that's what it is, where he can turn, you know, the camera that you already have on your laptop so he can see everything, you know, in the room or whatever and stuff that he's looking at. I don't know, but it was creepy. It's not a good sign. Some of you seem to think that Ollie is involved in this and is shady. I don't know, because the least likely person's usually the one doing bad stuff, so maybe. But I could also see that he's going to be like the next victim of this guy. What do you guys think? Because that was super confusing. Then we have this scene here where we're dealing with two different bodies. So we have Frank taking Rebecca's body, moving it and dumping it somewhere else, but we don't really see the dumping of that. But at the same time, he's dumping Catherine's body because we think she's dead, but she wakes up. So I guess they drugged her or something, but this is going to tie into our finale. I don't know. Do you guys have any ideas what is going on with Catherine and why she was drugged and why her body was dumped in the woods? Was she shot? It kind of looked like she had blood all over her. I really need you guys to fill in the blanks here because I can't. I mean, so much. I mean, wow. So I would love to hear your theories because the show is amazing and I didn't think they could top last season. I didn't think it could be as good, but it's just as good, maybe even better. What do you guys think? Post down below. So I would love it if you would subscribe to me if you haven't yet, because if you like these videos, I would really appreciate it. So thanks so much for watching this episode of Kellie TV. I'll see you next time.
You gotta go and get angry at all of my